The city was broken, its buildings crushed under heavy metal skies. Giant alien ships hovered above, casting shadows that stretched across cracked roads and silent ruins. Once this place was full of life. Now it was only dust, fear, and silence. The aliens ruled everything. They controlled the sky, the ground, even the thoughts of the people. No one dared to fight them anymore, except her. Her name was Lyra. She stood in the center of the city square, hands tied behind her back, ropes cutting into her skin. Her face was bruised, her clothes torn. But her eyes still held fire. Around her, hundreds of people stood in silence. No one cheered. No one spoke. They only watched, waiting. They had seen many executions before, but this one was different. This was the girl who had attacked an alien base. She had destroyed one of their towers. She had shouted words of rebellion when everyone else had given up. Now she would be made an example. In front of her stood a creature unlike any other. It was tall, armored in black metal, with glowing red eyes and arms like machines. Its face was half covered with a mask. The other half was scared flesh. This was not a man. This was the Beast, a bioengineered killer made by the alien lords, created in secret labs, trained to kill without mercy, programmed to follow only one command: destroy all enemies of the Empire. He had no name, no past, no soul, just mission after mission, each ending in blood. And now he stood before Lyra. A robotic voice echoed from the speaker above the square. The human rebel has been found guilty. The sentence is death. Execution will begin in 10 seconds. A low hum began, like a countdown. 10, 9, 8. The Beast raised his arm. A weapon formed from his metal hand, humming with power. He aimed directly at Lyra's heart. The crowd held its breath. Some closed their eyes. Some turned their heads. No one expected mercy. This was the Beast. He never missed. He never hesitated. 7, 6, 5. Lyra stared back at the Beast. Her body was shaking, but her eyes didn't move. She didn't beg. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just looked at him, like she saw something deeper, like she was not afraid. 4, 3. The Beast's finger hovered over the trigger. The weapon charged fully. He looked at her face. Then something happened. 2. His eyes flickered. 1. He stopped. The countdown ended. The weapon stayed pointed, but he didn't fire. A long silence filled the air. The alien commander shouted from above, "Execute the order." Still, the Beast didn't move. Lyra blinked, confused. Was this part of the plan? No, it wasn't. This wasn't anyone's plan. The Beast lowered his arm. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Some screamed. The alien guards reached for their weapons, confused. The commander shouted again, "Execute the human. Obey." But the Beast turned. Slowly, step by step, he walked toward Lyra. The guards raised their rifles. "Stop. Do not move." The Beast didn't stop. Then, in one sudden motion, he ripped the ropes from Lyra's hands. She almost fell forward, catching herself with shaking arms. She stared at him, unsure if she was dreaming. The Beast looked at her again. For a moment, his red eyes softened. He grabbed her arm, not to harm her, but to protect her, and turned to face the crowd. "Protecting target," the Beast said, his voice deep and broken. Then chaos exploded. The guards opened fire, energy blasts lighting up the square. The Beast moved fast, faster than any eye could follow. He grabbed Lyra, lifted her over his shoulder, and ran. Blasts hit the ground around them. People screamed and ran in every direction. The air filled with smoke and alarms. Sirens wailed. Drones flew in from above. But the Beast kept running. He jumped over broken walls, crashed through metal gates, and vanished into the smoke with Lyra in his arms. The alien commanders shouted orders. sending search teams and hunter bots. No one could understand what just happened. Why didn't he kill her? Why did he save her? In the shadows of the ruined city, the most dangerous weapon ever created had gone rogue. And the girl who was supposed to die, she was alive, carried by the very creature meant to destroy her. Somewhere deep in the metal brain of the beast, something had awakened. A memory, a feeling, a reason. The hunt had begun, and nothing would ever be the same again. The tunnels under the city were dark and cold. Old pipes dripped water from the ceiling. Broken lights blinked on and off. The beast moved fast through the shadows, carrying Lyra in his arms. His footsteps made no sound. He knew the city's underground better than anyone. These were the forgotten paths, tunnels made before the war, hidden from alien maps. Lyra held on tightly. Her heart was still racing. She had no idea what was happening. One minute she was about to die, and the next, this killing machine, the most feared creature in the city, was saving her. Her body hurt. Her mind was full of questions, but she stayed quiet. She didn't want to break whatever strange magic had just saved her life. Behind them, alarms echoed through the city. Loudspeakers screamed, "The beast is compromised. Terminate on sight. Kill the rebel girl. Shoot to kill." Search drones filled the air above. Patrols marched through the streets. The entire city was hunting them. But deep under the ground they were safe. For now. The beast stopped in a wide chamber where old machines had once powered the city. Now it was empty, full of dust and silence. He gently placed Lyra on the floor. She winced from the pain in her legs and arms. He looked at her for a long moment, then scanned the area for threats. Finally, Lyra spoke. "Why did you save me?" The beast didn't answer. She sat up, breathing heavily. "Can you even understand me?" Still nothing. She looked at him more carefully. His armor was full of scars and old burn marks. His face was strange, part metal, part human, and yet something about it felt familiar, like there was more inside him than just wires and code. "I saw you before," she said quietly. "Years ago. You killed a rebel captain in front of the square." He turned his head toward her, slowly, almost like he remembered. "You didn't even blink," she said. "But now, you froze." The beast looked away. He opened a small panel on his wrist and tapped a few buttons. A 3D map appeared in the air, showing their location and the enemy patrols above. Red dots moved in every direction. They were surrounded. Lyra stood, her legs shaking. "You could have killed me, but you didn't. You could have left me, but you didn't. Why?" The beast finally spoke. His voice was rough, like a broken machine. "Orders, broken. What does that mean?" "I saw your eyes," he said. Her heart skipped a beat. "My eyes. Memory activated," he said slowly. "You were familiar." Lyra stepped closer. "You remember me?" The beast didn't reply. He stared at her like he was trying to solve a puzzle that made no sense. She saw something in his eyes. Confusion, pain, and maybe a small spark of humanity. "What are you?" she whispered. The beast turned back to the map. The red dots were moving closer. Time was running out. He touched a panel on the wall, opening a secret door behind the machine room. "Move," he said. "Follow." Lyra didn't argue. She followed him down a narrow hallway. Pipes hissed with steam. Walls were covered in strange writing, old human warnings, now forgotten. They moved quietly for a long time, always deeper into the earth. Finally, they reached a metal door. The beast scanned his hand, and the door opened with a loud hiss. Inside was a small underground chamber. It was filled with broken lab equipment, shattered glass, and half-dead screens. "What is this place?" Lyra asked. The beast didn't answer. He walked to a large metal tank in the corner. It was covered in dust and cobwebs. He wiped it with his hand, and inside, frozen in cryo sleep, Was her. Lyra gasped. The girl in the tank looked exactly like her. Same face, same eyes, same everything. What is this? She whispered. The beast turned to her. Original. She stared at the tank. That's not me. No, he said. That was the clone. Lyra stepped back. Her head spun. You're saying I'm the real one? He nodded. You were the first. She was the test. Lyra looked at the frozen body again. Everything felt unreal. Why did they make a clone? Project Guardian, the beast said. Clone was made to control me, to command me. But she died. Test failed, he said. Clone died. But memory remained. When I saw you, the memory returned. Lyra looked into his eyes. So you were meant to protect the clone, but you saw me and remembered. Yes, he said. Suddenly, the lights flickered. The map showed new red dots entering the tunnel. Soldiers. They were close. The beast turned to Lyra. They will come. We must move. Lyra grabbed his arm. Wait. What are you going to do? The beast's red eyes narrowed. Protect. Lyra didn't know what would happen next. But in that moment, she understood one thing. She wasn't alone. And whatever the beast had been made for, he had chosen something different. He had chosen her. The tunnels were becoming a maze. They ran through dark, narrow passageways, the sound of their footsteps echoing off the walls. Lyra followed the beast, trying to keep up as he moved with unnatural speed. Her mind was spinning with everything she had just learned. The clone, the project, and most of all, the beast. He wasn't just a machine. He was something more, something alive. She had always believed that the aliens had taken everything from humanity, even the chance to survive. But now she wasn't so sure. The beast wasn't following the orders of the aliens. He wasn't even following his own programming anymore. He was following something else, something she couldn't understand yet. They reached another door, this one much larger, covered in strange symbols. The beast touched a panel, and the door slid open with a loud hiss. Inside, it was cold. The walls were lined with strange, glowing screens and abandoned tech. But in the center of the room stood a large, sealed tank. It was filled with liquid, and inside it, suspended in the thick liquid, was another body. Lyra gasped. It was the same as the one she had seen before, the clone in the other chamber. But this time, the body was in much better condition. It looked as if it had just been created. What is this? She asked, her voice trembling. The beast's voice was cold as he answered. This is the real project, the one they wanted. Lyra took a step closer. What do you mean? He didn't look at her. His eyes were fixed on the tank. You were the original, but they needed something more. They wanted the perfect soldier, the perfect protector. They wanted someone who could kill with no mercy and protect with no hesitation. That was the clone's purpose. But she failed, so they created a new one, a better version. Lyra felt a chill run down her spine. And this is the better version. Yes, the beast replied, his voice quieter now. The clone was designed to control me, but she couldn't. She wasn't enough. So they made this, the Omega Beast, stronger, faster, more powerful. Lyra stared at the tank. The body inside was almost identical to the beast's, but it was bigger, more perfect, more dangerous. She could see the similarities. The same armor, the same terrifying power. But this was something else entirely. This wasn't just a machine. It was a weapon, a living weapon. The beast turned to face her, his red eyes glowing in the dark. I was made to protect, to fight, to kill. But I remembered you. I remembered her, the clone. And I remember you too. Lyra shook her head. I don't understand. Why did you stop yourself from killing me? Why save me? The beast's gaze softened, just for a moment. I don't know, but when I saw you, I saw something. Something I was not supposed to feel. It wasn't just the clone. It was you. Lyra swallowed hard. But you're a machine. You don't have feelings. I do now, the beast said, his voice like a whisper. I don't know why, but I remember. Suddenly, a loud alarm blared. Red lights flashed throughout the room. The beast's eyes narrowed. They're coming. Lyra's heart skipped a beat. She turned toward the door. Who's coming? The Omega Beast, the beast answered, his voice cold again. The new version, the one who was meant to kill. Before she could respond, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed from the hall outside. The air grew colder as if the temperature had dropped with the arrival of something monstrous. The ground shook as the door to the chamber burst open, and standing there was the Omega Beast. It was taller, its body even more armored than the beast's. Its red eyes glowed like fire. It was a terrifying sight. A perfect weapon, created for one thing only: destruction. Lyra took a step back, her breath catching in her throat. This was the enemy she had been fighting against, the one the aliens had created to wipe out humanity. The Omega Beast stepped forward, its voice booming in the chamber. Target identified. Eliminate. The beast took a step forward, his posture shifting into a defensive stance. Stay back, Lyra. He is not like me. The Omega Beast's eyes locked onto Lyra. You are not a target, but you will be destroyed. Before she could speak, the Omega Beast lunged forward, moving faster than Lyra could blink. The beast reacted immediately, raising his arm to block the Omega Beast's first strike. The sound of metal hitting metal rang through the chamber, and the two machines collided with a force that made the ground tremble. Lyra stumbled back, fear gripping her chest. She had never seen anything like this before. The beast was fighting for her, for humanity. But this new version was stronger, faster. The beast was struggling to keep up, his movements slower, more deliberate, as he fought against the relentless power of the Omega Beast. I won't let him kill you, the beast growled through clenched teeth. Lyra watched in horror as the two machines clashed again, the sound of their battle echoing through the chamber. Sparks flew from their bodies as they exchanged blows, each strike more powerful than the last. Then the Omega Beast raised its weapon and aimed it directly at Lyra. No, the beast shouted. In a desperate move, the beast lunged at the Omega Beast, knocking him off balance. But it was too late. The Omega Beast had already fired. The blast hit Lyra's chest, sending her flying back against the wall. Lyra's body slammed against the cold metal wall. Pain exploded in her chest. She gasped for air, feeling the burn of the blast inside her. Her vision blurred. The world spun. For a moment, she couldn't move. The weight of the blast had knocked the breath out of her, and she felt like everything inside her was on fire. She tried to push herself up, but the pain was unbearable. Her body refused to cooperate. Her hands shook as she placed them on the ground, struggling to hold herself up. The room around her seemed to grow darker. The sound of the fight continued, but it felt distant, like she was hearing it from miles away. The beast and the Omega Beast were still fighting, their clash shaking the walls of the chamber. She could hear their powerful blows, the sound of metal scraping against metal, the low growls that echoed in the room. But through the pain, Lyra only cared about one thing: survival. Suddenly, she felt a presence beside her. She looked up, her vision still blurry, and saw the beast kneeling beside her. His glowing red eyes were wide with fear. "Lyra," he shouted, his voice full of panic. "Stay with me. Don't die." She tried to speak, but her voice was barely a whisper. I can't. Breathe." The beast reached down, pulling her into his arms, his grip strong but gentle. His hands were warm against her cold skin. "Hold on," he said urgently. "We're not finished yet." Lyra tried to stay awake, to keep her focus. but her body was fighting against her. She could feel the blood seeping from her chest, the warmth pooling beneath her. Every breath felt like a struggle. "No," she managed to whisper. You have to stop them." The beast turned his head toward the Omega beast, who was now standing tall, ready for another attack. "I will," the beast said quietly. "I won't let him kill you. Not again." He stood up, lifting Lyra in his arms. She was barely conscious now, but she felt a strange warmth spread through her chest, not from the pain, but from the way the beast held her. For a moment, she wasn't alone. For a moment, it was as if the world outside didn't matter. But the Omega beast was closing in. The beast turned his back on Lyra for a moment, his body facing the new threat. He stepped forward, positioning himself between Lyra and the Omega beast. His red eyes glowed brighter, the anger and determination radiating from him like a force of nature. "You will not take her," the beast growled. The Omega beast moved forward, its movements sharp and calculated. It didn't speak, but the power in its body was clear. Every step it took caused the floor to shake. Lyra, barely holding on to consciousness, watched the two creatures face off. Her vision was fading, but she could still see the beast, the creature who had saved her, who had chosen to protect her, standing tall in front of her. Despite the odds, despite everything stacked against them, he wasn't backing down. The Omega beast lunged, faster than the beast could react. But the beast was ready this time. He jumped to the side, narrowly avoiding the Omega beast's strike. The air around them crackled with energy as they moved, their bodies a blur of power and precision. The beast was slower than the Omega beast, but he was smarter. He waited for the perfect moment, then struck. He hit the Omega beast hard, sending the larger machine stumbling back. Sparks flew from its body. The battle raged on, each blow more violent than the last. But Lyra could barely stay awake. Her vision was flickering, like the world around her was on the verge of disappearing. She could hear the battle, but it felt so far away. Everything felt heavy. Every breath was a struggle. She couldn't keep fighting. "Stay with me," the beast's voice broke through her fading thoughts. "Lyra, please." She wanted to respond. She wanted to tell him she was okay. But her body wasn't listening. Her eyes closed, and everything went dark. In the silence, there was only the sound of the battle continuing. The beast was giving everything he had to protect her, but Lyra couldn't see it anymore. The world was gone. But then she felt a hand on her face. It was warm, gentle, and it was pulling her back from the darkness. She opened her eyes, blinking at the light that seemed to fill the room. The beast's face was close to hers, his red eyes glowing even brighter now, full of concern. "Lyra, please," he whispered again. "You can't leave me." Lyra's heart fluttered, and for a moment, she wasn't sure if she had heard him correctly. She tried to speak, but only a soft sound escaped her lips. She tried to lift her hand, but it felt so heavy. The beast held her tighter, refusing to let go. "Fight for me," he said, his voice full of desperation. "Fight for us." Her chest hurt with every breath, but she tried. She reached up, touching his arm, feeling the warmth of his skin. I'm not going anywhere," she whispered. Her strength was returning, little by little. The pain in her chest was still there, but it wasn't as bad. Slowly, she pushed herself up, with the beast's help. She could feel the weight of her body, but there was a new strength in her now. "You're not alone," the beast said softly. "We'll finish this, together." Lyra nodded, her vision clearing. She looked up at the beast, the protector, the killer, the machine who had chosen to save her. And she knew then that she wasn't just a survivor. She was a fighter. And together, they would face whatever came next. The walls shook again. Sparks flew from the broken ceiling above them. The Omega beast stood still, its red eyes locked on Lyra and the beast. But it didn't move yet. It was watching, waiting, studying. Lyra leaned on the beast's shoulder, her strength returning slowly. Her breathing was weak, but steady now. The pain was still sharp in her chest, but her mind was clear. She knew this wasn't over. If they didn't do something soon, the Omega Beast would kill both of them. She looked up at the beast, whose body was still damaged from the last fight. "You can't win like this," she whispered. "He's too strong." The beast's eyes didn't leave the enemy. "Maybe, but we have one thing he doesn't." Lyra frowned. "What's that?" The beast glanced at her. "Choice." The Omega Beast finally moved. Its heavy steps echoed like thunder. It raised one massive arm. Charging its weapon again, the beast pushed Lyra behind a piece of broken metal wall and stepped forward alone. His armor was cracked. His systems were slowing down. But he didn't hesitate. The Omega Beast fired. The beam shot across the room. The beast dodged at the last second, but part of the blast caught his side. Sparks exploded from his armor. He grunted in pain but didn't fall. Instead, he ran forward, closing the distance fast. His fists slammed into the Omega Beast's chest with all the power he had left. The Omega Beast didn't even flinch. It grabbed the beast's arm and threw him against the far wall. The sound of metal hitting metal echoed loud, and the beast fell to the ground, struggling to rise again. Lyra's heart pounded. She looked around the room. There had to be something she could use. Anything. Her eyes landed on a glowing console near the tank, the one that held the sleeping clone. Maybe there was a way to overload the system. Maybe she could wake it up, or destroy it. She ran toward it, every step hurting her body. But she didn't stop. She reached the console and saw lines of alien code flashing on the screen. She didn't understand most of it, but some words stood out. Containment, override, Omega Link. She tapped the panel. It blinked. A voice spoke from the machine, cold and inhuman. Warning, Omega connection active. Biolink unstable. Manual override possible. Lyra's eyes widened. Manual override. Yes, that's it. She pressed the screen again, searching for the control. The Omega Beast turned its head, sensing the change in the room. It started moving toward her. The beast stood up, staggering. His voice was broken but loud. "No, don't let him near her." He jumped between the Omega Beast and Lyra again, punching with all the power he had. The Omega Beast blocked the hit easily and punched back. The beast was knocked down once more, sparks flying from his damaged chest. Lyra screamed, "Come on. Come on. Override." She slammed her hand on the screen. A loud alarm echoed. Manual override accepted. Transferring control. The Omega Beast froze. Its red eyes blinked fast. Its body twitched. The powerful machine began to shake. For the first time, it looked confused, lost. Lyra watched in shock. The screen now showed a new line, neural link resetting. The beast looked up from the ground. "What did you do?" "I broke his control," Lyra said, her voice shaking. "He's not listening to them anymore." The Omega Beast stepped back, shaking its head like it was fighting something inside. Its weapon lowered. The red lights in its chest dimmed. It stared at its own hands, confused. Then it looked at Lyra. But this time, it didn't attack. The beast stood slowly, walking toward her. "You stopped him." "No," Lyra said softly. "I gave him a choice, just like you." The Omega Beast looked between them, then turned its head toward the tank. It stepped forward and placed one large hand on the glass, looking at the clone floating inside. The machine's red eyes flickered. Then it spoke. "I'd remember her." Its voice was deep, but no longer filled with hate. The beast stepped closer. "Do you remember who you were?" The Omega Beast nodded slowly. "I was made to protect. I failed." Lyra touched the beast's arm. "You don't have to fail again." The room went quiet. The Omega Beast stood still for a long time. Then, slowly, it walked to the wall and opened a hidden door. A hallway appeared, filled with shadows and light. It turned and looked at Lyra and the beast. "There is one more, the Prime Controller. If he is not stopped, more will come." Lyra nodded. "Then we stop him. Together." The beast looked at the Omega Beast. "You're with us." The Omega Beast paused, then gave a small nod. Lyra took a deep breath. Her pain was still there, but her heart was stronger now. The enemy had become something else. Maybe not a friend yet, but not a monster anymore. The three of them, the girl, the beast, and the machine once meant to kill, stepped into the hallway. The final fight was waiting. And none of them would face it alone. The hallway stretched out in front of them, dark and silent. The only sound was the soft hum of the energy flowing through the walls. Lyra felt the weight of the situation pressing on her. She was still injured, still weak from the earlier battle, but she couldn't stop now. She couldn't let them down. The beast was beside her, his powerful form moving cautiously, always alert, always protecting. The Omega Beast walked behind them, a giant of metal and energy, its red eyes dimmer now, still unsure of what it had become. "This way," the Omega Beast said, its deep voice shaking slightly as it led them down the corridor. "The Prime Controller is close. We have to hurry." Lyra nodded, her chest tight with anxiety. "What do you think he'll do when he sees us?" The Omega Beast's metal face twisted in a way that might have been a frown if it had been human. "He will try to destroy you. All who are in his way are threats." "I'm not afraid of him," Lyra said quietly. She wasn't sure if that was true, but she had to say it. She had to believe it. The beast gave her a reassuring look. "I'm with you. We're in this together." They moved forward, the echo of their steps filling the silent halls. Every turn they took felt like they were getting closer, but the tension in the air grew heavier with every step. Lyra kept her hand on the beast's arm, steadying herself, but also reminding herself of the promise she had made, that they would survive, together. After what felt like hours, they reached the end of the hall. The door in front of them was large and imposing, made of dark metal, covered in alien symbols Lyra couldn't read, but there was no mistaking the energy that pulsed behind it. The Prime Controller was inside. The Omega Beast stopped in front of the door, its metal hands moving to touch a hidden panel on the side. The door slid open with a deep mechanical hum, revealing a large chamber beyond. It was dark inside, but Lyra could see faint blue lights flickering in the distance. There, standing in the center, was the Prime Controller. He was a tall, thin figure, his body encased in black armor that seemed to absorb the light around him. His face was hidden behind a dark mask, but his presence was enough to send a chill down Lyra's spine. He radiated power, like he controlled everything around him. And in that moment, Lyra realized how true that was. He was the one pulling the strings. He was the one who had caused all of this destruction. "So, you finally made it." The Prime Controller's voice echoed through the chamber, cold and calm. "I knew you would, but I didn't think you would bring my creation back with you." The Omega Beast stepped forward, its voice low and rumbling. "I remember now. You're the one who made me, and the one who sent me to destroy everything in my path." The Prime Controller didn't respond right away. He just tilted his head, almost as if studying the Omega Beast. "You were never meant to remember. You were always meant to serve. But you have chosen to betray your purpose. I'm not your weapon anymore," the Omega Beast said, its voice filled with anger. "Is that so?" The Prime Controller laughed, a dry, humorless sound. "Then you'll both die here. And this rebellion, this pathetic hope you cling to, will die with you." Lyra stepped forward, the pain in her chest flaring up again, but she pushed through it. "We're not going anywhere. Not until you answer for what you've done." The Prime Controller's eyes, hidden behind his mask, focused on her. "And what will you do?" Little human, you're weak, fragile. You have nothing. You're nothing. Lyra took a deep breath, her hand tightening on the beast's arm. She could feel the power behind the words, but she refused to let it control her. She had come this far. She couldn't give up now. I have more than you think, she said, her voice steady, despite the fear inside her. I have the strength of those who fight with me. I have the strength of the beast, and you will never break that. The Prime Controller stared at her, his expression unreadable. For a long moment, there was only silence. Then, slowly, he raised his hand, and the ground beneath them began to tremble. The walls lit up with blinding energy. A deep, menacing growl echoed through the room as the Prime Controller spoke again, his voice now filled with cold fury. If you won't be a part of my order, then you'll be crushed under its power. The floor shook violently as massive machines, hidden in the walls, came to life. They were fast, sharp, and deadly. They came at them with laser weapons, aimed directly at Lyra and the beast. The Omega Beast stepped forward first, its hands extending, creating a barrier of energy that blocked the first wave of attacks. The beast followed, charging into the fray with the strength of 1,000 warriors. Lyra could feel her heart pounding in her chest, but she didn't flinch. This was it, the final fight. The machines fired relentlessly, but the beast and the Omega Beast fought back, their strength matching the enemy's force. Lyra could feel the power of their movements, the determination that drove them. And for the first time, she didn't feel weak. She felt the fire in her soul, the power of survival, the strength of her decision to keep going. The Omega Beast knocked down one of the machines, its massive fists crashing through its armor. The beast moved with precision, taking down another. The machines didn't stop, but the two of them didn't slow down either. Lyra ran toward the Prime Controller, her movements fueled by the desire to end this nightmare. She didn't know if she could defeat him, but she wasn't going to stop trying. The battle was far from over, but she knew one thing for sure. She wasn't alone. Smoke filled the air. Sparks rained from broken machines. The floor trembled beneath their feet. Lyra coughed and stumbled, shielding her eyes from the dust. All around her, the battle still raged. The beast and the Omega Beast were locked in a brutal fight against the Prime Controller's army. Their strength was unmatched, but the machines kept coming, wave after wave. But something was changing. The Prime Controller watched from the far side of the chamber, standing tall and untouched. His eyes glowed with hatred behind the mask. He raised one arm, and a massive wave of energy exploded from his body, knocking the beast and the Omega Beast backward. Lyra fell to the ground, gasping for breath. The force had nearly broken her ribs. "You think you've come this far for victory," the Prime Controller said, stepping forward. "You were never the hero. You were just another weakness in the system I designed. You were meant to die the moment he was created." The beast rose slowly, his armor dented, sparks leaking from his chest. He placed himself between Lyra and the enemy. His voice was quiet, but full of power. "You made me to kill, but you never made me to feel." She did. The Prime Controller's fist glowed with pure energy. "Then I'll erase those feelings forever." He charged forward, aiming straight at the beast. But before he could strike, the Omega Beast moved in front of them, arms wide, absorbing the full blast. The impact was deafening. A wave of energy shook the entire room. The Omega Beast fell to his knees, smoke pouring from his chest. Lyra screamed, crawling to him. "No." The Omega Beast looked at her. "I remember everything now. I was like him once. Human. You reminded me." Tears welled in Lyra's eyes. "You don't have to die." He shook his head. "I was already dead. But now, I choose what I die for." The Prime Controller stepped back in shock. "Impossible. Your core should have collapsed by now." The Omega Beast looked at the beast. "You were their greatest weapon, but she made you more." The beast nodded slowly. She made me human." Then, without another word, the Omega beast stood up one last time and roared. His body glowed brightly as he slammed his hand into the floor, releasing all his stored power in one final surge. Light exploded through the chamber. The machines were ripped apart. The walls cracked. The blast hit the Prime Controller directly, throwing him across the chamber into a wall of metal. When the light faded, the Omega beast was gone. All that remained was silence. Lyra crawled to the beast. He pulled her close, shielding her from the falling debris. Smoke and dust drifted around them. The chamber was broken, the power gone, and the machines offline. Across the room, the Prime Controller slowly stood. His armor was shattered, his mask broken, revealing a pale, cold face. Blood trickled from his mouth. He looked furious and afraid. "You ruined everything," he hissed. "You ruined perfection." "No," Lyra said, standing on shaking legs. "We ended a nightmare." The beast moved beside her. "You wanted control, but you forgot something important." The Prime Controller narrowed his eyes. "What?" "Humans don't always follow the plan." And with that, Lyra lifted a fallen weapon from the ground. Not a gun, but a small control shard she had taken from the console earlier. She pressed the core. A red pulse blinked. Self-destruct protocol confirmed. Final shutdown in 30 seconds. The Prime Controller's eyes widened. No. He tried to run, but the beast tackled him, holding him down. "Run, Lyra. Go now." Lyra didn't move. "I'm not leaving you." "Go," the beast shouted. Tears streaming down her face, Lyra turned and ran. She didn't want to. She wanted to stay. But the beast had made his choice. She had to live for both of them. She ran through the ruined halls as the walls shook around her. Explosions ripped through the complex. Fire followed her steps. But she didn't stop running. Not once. Finally, she burst through a broken door and fell onto the ground outside. The sky above was dark, but free. Behind her, the ground rumbled as the entire facility collapsed into a pit of smoke and fire. She lay on the ground, coughing, crying, broken, but alive. 1 week later, Lyra sat under the sun in the ruins of an old park. Around her, survivors were rebuilding. The war was over. The Prime Controller was gone. His army was destroyed. People whispered her name now. Some called her the spark that ended the machines. Some called her a hero. But all she thought about was the beast. She looked up at the sky, whispering softly, "You chose me when no one else did. I'll never forget you." A soft breeze passed over her. And in the distance, under the trees, a shadow moved. A large figure stepped into the light, slow and silent. It was him. Damaged, scared, but alive. The beast. Lyra stood up in shock, tears in her eyes again. He walked toward her, no longer a weapon, but a protector. And this time, he wasn't alone. He had chosen humanity, and humanity had chosen him.